Okay, hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today's the 17th of September 2019. So, welcome everyone. Welcome to this Tuesday's morning session where we're going to have a quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimers. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay, also just a quick apology about yesterday's traders tea time video. Apparently lost the sound. But today I'm gonna cover some of these instruments, some of those instruments that I've done yesterday in the tea time. So as always, but before we jump into the charts, quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel here, to which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos, and of course our JFD website, but specifically our JFD research page, which you can always also check out and I believe you can find a lot of useful stuff here, guys, for yourself. So feel free, guys, to visit us. um, Yep. So like I said, yep, there is a bunch of good material here to have a read through. So there are long and short term analysis. So yep, feel free to check us out. And right now, guys, let's quickly jump into the charts. Now, the first one I want to touch on here is the DAX. Now, the German index here was climbing nicely above this upside, this short term, this very short term upside support line taken from the low of the 28th of August, and this is what I was talking about. This one when I was covering this one previously. This is what I was talking about when I was saying that if we see a push above the 12,477 zone, approximately there could be a chance for this one to push further north. But as you can see, of course, the oil developments kind of mixed up all the technicals here, and we saw yesterday a nice opening gap to the downside here, which forced or should I say, which automatically placed the price below the this upside line here. So in a way, yes, we were initially targeting the upside, but well, we got this force majeure, and that's why we will be now reevaluating everything and looking at this picture as it is right now. So, given that it broke below this upside line here, this steep upside support line, there is a good chance we could see this one drifting lower, potentially driving towards the other upside support line here that's taken from the low of the 15th of August. So, again, before we could consider such a move, ideally, we would need to see a drop below the 12,312 zone here, which is marked by the low of the 12th of September. This way, the index would confirm a nice kind of a short, a lower low on the shorter time frame, and we could see this one drifting towards the 12,180 zone, or even, like I said, testing this upside line here taken from the low of the 15th of August. That's of course in terms of the downside. In terms of the upside, the same level remains. The only thing is that now we're not gonna focus on this line, on this steeper upside line anymore. We are gonna get rid of that, and still we're gonna aim for this 12,477 zone. If we see a nice good pop above this, then yep, we will aim for higher levels again. We'll aim for the 12,600 zone, which is marked by the high of the 25th of July, or even better, the 12,656 zone, which is marked by the high of the 4th of July. So for now, guys, these are the two levels to keep an eye on. Let me just quickly mark those just for ourselves here for our future reference. This is the breakout point for the upper side, and for the downside from the for the short-term downside scenario, because I need to point that out, because as long as we're still trading above this this upside line here, we could in a way remain positive. But like I said, if we see a drop below the 12,312 zone, this all area, yeah, we will consider slightly lower areas, but this all area is going to be somewhat of a neutral one for us. We'll have to wait for a clear rebound from this upside line before we could get comfortable with the upside again. But again, like I said, for now, from the very short-term perspective, that's the situation here. Also looking at the cash index right now, we are trading slightly below the yesterday's close, and it will be somewhere around here, somewhere around the 12,370 zone. So, yep, keep your eyes on this one right now. It could be quite interesting to see what it does later on. Jumping into Brent Oil. Now, I looked at this one yesterday, and basically what I was saying that, and especially during the morning video, where what I was talking about was we may see this one sliding a little bit lower, but then if it fails to drive below the 65.42 zone here, or even let's say better to stay below the 65.40 zone, then we could see this one curving up and pushing to the upside. So yesterday we saw Brent Oil again exploding to the upside. It traveled higher, almost managed to reach one of our targets here near the 69.93 zone, and but it failed to do that, and it slid back down. So today, let me just adjust this arrow. What we're going to do here is, yes, we are going to keep an eye on this 69.93 zone, but slightly below that, again, we could keep an eye on the high of yesterday, which is near the 69.65 zone, approximately around there. So in a way, if we start seeing a push above the 69.65, then a break above that level would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and we could see a test of the 69.93. Of course, the psychological 70 level could be a nice target as well. But if both of those don't hold, or three of those don't hold, then the next potential target here for us is around the 70.55. I do understand it's only about it's not far from here, not far from the potential breakout points, but still. What we could be targeting, of course, in a more of a medium term, from the more medium term perspective, is this area right here near the 73.3840 zone. So could be a good potential target. Don't get me wrong, we are quite steep here, and there is a possibility of seeing maybe a small correction before another leg of buying. But for us, like I said, even if we even if we take this into consideration, this potential slide lower, if this commodity travels lower and stays, let's say, continues to hold above the 67.22 zone here, this could be a good sign. This could be a good sign for the bulls to step in again and push this one to the upside. But if it starts falling below the 67.21, 22 zone here, then, well, this could potentially slide a little bit lower. But where we're going to start looking at the downside here, or at least a bit of a downside correction, I would put it this way, it's only if we see a drop below the 65.42 42 zone here, around there, and if we see a drop below this, then yep, we could potentially see Brent oil maybe correcting further down. So again, keep your eyes on some of these levels. Like I said, it's very tricky. At one point, we are on one side, we are kind of really steep here, and it could continue traveling higher. On the other hand, we could see a bit of correction here to the downside. So, but probably, as I said, we will consider a possible correction if we see a drop below the 65.42 zone here, and only then, like I said, we'll aim for these slightly lower areas. For now, what you could do if you're not really comfortable with this scenario, with this curve up scenario, then what you could do is just wait for a clear break above the let me just go quickly adjust this, guys. This arrow here, you could wait for a break above the 69.65 zone here, which is the high of last week, and then target the, of course, the psychological 70 zone, and maybe then these slightly higher levels. But again, like I said, this is what you could do. You could, in a way, wait for this break of the 69.65 and then aim for higher levels. So keep your eyes on this one. Do what's more convenient for you. You'll be the judge, guys. So have your also have your head on your shoulders, and you decide for yourselves what's more convenient for you and what's. I'm just gonna here giving you some interesting levels and potential ideas here. So jumping into Bitcoin, I talked about this one yesterday as well, and yesterday during my tea time, where we didn't have any sound, it was already breaking one of these levels when the ones that I've talked about in the morning video. So this level here, the 10,220 zone, was broken yesterday nicely to the downside, but as you can see, the crypto quickly got back above it, and but the most important thing is that it still is trading between these two lines, between the downside line, the short-term, or should I say, yeah, the short-term downside resistance line taken from the high of the 6th of August, and this short-term upside line taken from the low of the 29th of August. So for now, what we could do here is probably focus mainly on these lines right now, because inside this formation, yep, the crypto could continue moving around here sideways, kind of breaking some of these levels. But what you could do now is, if we'll zoom in here a little bit, and you could take this level here and the low of yesterday, which is around the 10,091 zone. In a way, you could in a way wait for a break below this level, and additionally a drop below this upside line here, and only then consider slightly lower areas. For now, initially we will target the 9,814, but then there are of course much better levels here underneath. For now, like I said, we are going to be waiting for this one to exit the through one of these sides here, this triangle formation, through one of the sides of these lines, sorry, through one of these lines. For now, like I said, that's the kind of the situation. We are waiting for a clear exit. You could, in a way, put your some pending orders if you want, but then again, be very careful. Have your stop losses in place, because we may see some false breakouts, and yep, that could take you out very quickly. So that's why, guys, be very careful. Have your risk management in place, and always have your stop loss. AUDUSD. AUDUSD, I talked about this one yesterday as well. Basically, it drifted lower. It traded below. It's now trading below the 0.6846 zone. I talked about this one yesterday, and basically now it's moving towards this key area of support near the 0.6825 zone, approximately around there, which also coincides with the 200 EMA on the 4-hour chart. So basically what we're going to do here and right now is we're going to wait for a clear break, because we need to see a clear break through either the 0.6825 zone, or we need to see a push through the upper side here of the which is around the 0.69 barrier. So again, this, of course, the upside for now, it seems to be slightly off the table. There is a good chance we could see this one drifting further down, but again, we will get comfortable with slightly lower areas if we see a drop below the 0.6825 zone. So for now, keep your eyes on this one. Let's see how this is going to play out. But if this suddenly reverses sharply to the upside, and for us to aim for higher levels, we need to see a push above the 0.69 zone first, before we could get excited with higher levels. GBPCAD. GBPCAD yesterday sold off. That's was expected, because oil kind of climbed higher. So whenever we have a rise in oil, the Canadian dollar gets stronger. So this is the situation that we had. So basically, this move lower could be seen as a possible correction because this is what I was talking about yesterday in my morning video as well. Basically, we may see this one traveling lower. Yep, but if it continues to hold near this level right here, near the 1.6440 zone, we could see this one curving up and pushing back to the upside. Now, even if it drops below the 1.6440, still the last chance for the bulls to step in would be this short-term tentative upside support line taken from the low of the 3rd of September. We wouldn't even actually call it a tentative. We do have three touches here. So this short-term upside support line could be that last resort for the bulls where they could step in and drive this one higher. But again, for now, what we're looking at here is this 1.6440 because so far it's playing out nicely. It's playing out as a very good area of support. If it does continue to hold and if we see the rate pushing above the today's pivot, which is around the 1.6478 zone, approximately around there, then we'll consider a possible move higher here towards the 1.6543 zone, or even going further north towards the highs of last week near the 1.6618. But again, for now, that's the game plan. We will be very careful here, like I said, from the very short-term perspective. If we see the pair pushing above the today's pivot, which is around the 1.6478, then we will aim for higher levels. If it drops below the 1.6440, still there could be a small chance for the bulls to kind of jump in here. But to be honest, we'll wait for it to see how it's going to behave near this upside line, because if this line starts getting broken, if this line starts getting violated, and we see a rate falling below the 1.6334 zone here, which is the high of the 5th of September, then well, this could turn out to be ugly for GBPCAD. So that's why, guys, for now, be very careful, be very cautious here. Let's see how this is going to play out, and yep, keep your eyes on some of these levels. And the Euro USD, very quickly on this, I talked about this yesterday in my traders tea time as well, but like I said, unfortunately we didn't have any sound. So what I was talking about initially, that I was telling you guys to keep a close eye on this little short-term upside line here. So because if it would have held the rate from moving lower, then there could be a possibility of maybe of seeing this small correction here to the upside and then a push lower. But looking at this picture right now, and we're actually going to get rid of some of these lines. So as long as the rate remains below this upside line here, we will continue targeting the downside here, and especially if it starts falling below the 1.0. If it initially, of course, if it slides below yesterday's lows near the 1.0991. Then the next level to watch is going to be around the 1.0983, which is the low of the 11th of September. So if we see a drop below this, then well, this is it could be opening the path back down towards the lows of the September, or should I say the lows of September so far, which is around the 1.0924 zone. So this is going to be our initial target. After that, we'll take it from there, see what it wants to do, because either it will decide to do a double top here, or sorry, double bottom here, and then curve up and push back to the upside, or it will start breaking this 1.0924 zone, and we could see further declines, as this would confirm a forthcoming lower low, and we could then target areas like the 1.09 or even below that. So for now, guys, we are more bearish than bullish. If this suddenly travels back above this upside line and back above the 1.102425 zone, we will aim maybe for slightly higher levels, but only up until here, up until the 1.1085 zone, which also could be around this downside resistance line taken from the high of June. So for now, as you can see, this downside line kind of continues to hold the rate down. So That's why we're going to be very careful around it. And if we see a push back above the 1.1024, 25 zone, then there could be more chances for this one to drift a little bit higher here towards the 1.1085, and then we'll take it from there because we'll see what he wants to do. If it wants to break this downside line, that's wonderful, good news for the bulls, and we could see this one pushing further north. But if it holds again, we could see this one curving up and pushing back to the downside. But again, at this point in time, where the rate is set right now, there is a good likelihood we could see further declines. But what you could do here is just probably wait for a drop below yesterday's lows near the 1.0991 zone, and then especially just if we see another push a bit below the 1.0983 zone, then yep, we could get more comfortable with lower levels. So keep your eyes on some of these levels, guys. Okay, guys, I really hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for sticking around and watching until the end. I hope you heard me well. I hope the sound quality, the video quality was fine. If you want to join me later on, as always, in my Traders Tea Time, that's 13:15 GMT, guys. But today, be very careful. Hope let's see how today's trading day is gonna go. I hope it's gonna go well for you all. And yep, guys, as always, I'll see you later. Thank you very much, and bye bye.